please grab out your worksheet for adding and subtraction, or addition and subtraction with rational numbers. All right, so letter A. Use the expression -5 plus 3 to answer the following questions. All right, so which number is larger? All right, let's take a look at a number line here. So I'm going to draw myself a number line. I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. I need to increase it. -4, -5. So I start at -5 and I need to jump all the way to +3. Okay. I need to know which number is larger. So the larger number is the number that is the furthest one to the right. And the number that is furthest to the right is 3. Which number is further away from 0? Well, the number of jumps, no matter if it's negative or positive, the number of jumps away from 0 is 5. -5. So when you add these numbers together, will the sum be positive or negative? And how do you know? My sum is going to be negative because 5 or -5 is further away from 0 than +3 is. Okay. How do the signs of the two numbers help you determine if you will find the sum or the difference of their absolute values? Okay, so if I have a negative sign and a positive sign, I will subtract my two values. Okay, so meaning I'm going to take the absolute value of -5, and then I'm going to take the absolute value of 3, and then I'm going to subtract the two numbers. Well, absolute value, all it's asking is how many jumps do I go from 0 to -5? And I make 2, 3, 4, 5. So the absolute value of -5, it is 5 jumps away from 0. And the absolute value of 3 is 1, 2, 3. I am 3 jumps away from 0. So I'm going to subtract my two numbers. So 5 minus 3 is 2. Now, my answer is going to be -2 because I am further away in the negatives than I am in the positives. So what is -5 plus 3? It is -2. Okay. Use the expression to answer the following questions. So which number is larger? I have -5/8 plus +3/8. Well, the number that is bigger is 3/8. Which number is further away from 0? -5/8. When you add these numbers together, will the sum be positive or negative? Well, look, the one that's furthest away from 0, it determines whether or not I have a positive or negative answer. And my answer will be negative. Okay. How do the signs of the two numbers help you determine if you find the sum or difference? Well, look, I have a negative sign and a positive sign. So that means I'm going to subtract. Okay. So I need to take the absolute value of -5/8, which the absolute value, it turns any number positive because I want to know how many jumps away it is from 0. So it's 5/8. And the absolute value of 3/8, which is 3/8. And I'm going to subtract the two numbers. Now, when subtracting fractions, I need to make sure that I have a common denominator, that my denominator is the same. And it looks like it is. It's both 8. So my denominator stays the same at 8. And I'm going to just subtract the top number, the numerator. So 5 minus 3 is 2. And I'm told that my answer is going to be negative. So -5/8 plus 3/8 is -2/8. Is -2/8. Okay. And then the last thing I need to do is I can see that -2/8, they're both even, is I need to simplify. Okay, simplify my answer here. And I see with -2/8, that 2 can go into both 2 and 8. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So our final answer is negative 1 over 4. Negative 1 over 4. All right, letter C. Letter C. Use the expression 5 over 8 plus negative 3 over 8 to answer the questions. Okay, so which number is larger? Well, I have positive 5 over 8 and then negative 3 over 8. The number that is furthest to the right is 5 over 8. Which number is further away from 0? Well, if I were to think of this on a number line here, okay, of 0, and I were to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm going to have 5 over 8 here. And then here, 1, 2, 3, negative 3 over 8. The number that is further away from 0 is 5 over 8. Okay. So I look at this answer, who is furthest away from 0, and he determines whether my sum is going to be positive or negative. And since 5 over 8 is positive, my answer will be positive. Okay. So how do the signs of the two numbers help determine if we're finding the sum or the difference? Well, I start off with a positive value. I end with a negative value. So I'm still going to be subtracting. Okay. So I'm still going to be subtracting. So I'm going to take the absolute value of 5 over 8, which I'm going to have 5 over 8, minus the absolute value of 3 over 8, which we know is to be 3 over 8. And I'm going to subtract from here. My denominator stays the same at 8. All I do is subtract my numerator. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So 5 eighths plus negative 3 eighths is equal to a positive 2 eighths. All right. Since subtracting is the inverse of addition, you can think of subtracting as adding the opposite number. Okay? So for example, negative 5 minus 3 is equivalent to negative 5 plus negative 3. And 5 minus negative 3 is equivalent to 5 plus 3. All right, we are going to use the trick here of keep, change, change. It's roughly the same thing as keep, change, flip when dividing with fractions, except we're going to use this. It's going to help us. We're going to change every subtraction problem we see into addition. And to do that, we're going to use keep, change, change. Meaning we're going to keep the first term. Okay, so we kept the first term. We changed subtraction to addition. And then we changed the value of our second number and flipped it. So we have a positive 3. Now we have a negative 3. And then we're doing the same thing for the second one. Keep, change, change. Kept the first term. Changed subtraction to addition. And then took the opposite value of negative 3 to be positive 3. So use the expression here to answer the following questions. Rewrite the subtraction expression as an equivalent addition expression. So I'm going to keep, change, change. So I'm going to keep the first term, 5 over 8, change subtraction to addition, and then I'm going to change the value of negative 3 over 8 to the opposite, to positive 3 over 8. So which number is larger? We'll have a positive 5 over 8 plus positive 3 over 8. Well, 5 over 8 is further in the number line. Which number is further away from 0? 5 over 8. When adding these numbers together, will the sum be positive or negative? Well, my number 5 over 8 is positive and it's further away from 0. So my answer will be positive. Okay. How do the signs of the two numbers help you determine if you're finding the sum or the difference? Well, my first term is positive. My second term is positive. So if I have two numbers of the same sign, I'm going to add. Okay? So same sign equals addition. Okay? Well, I'm going to have 5 over 8 plus 3 over 8. When adding fractions, it's the same thing as subtracting. My denominator needs to be the exact same number, and it is. It's 8. So my denominator stays the same at 8. And all I'm going to do is add the top. So 5 plus 3, so 5, 6, 7, 8, which gets me 8 over 8. Well, look, 8 divided by 8 is 1 whole. So 5/8 minus negative 3/8 is equal to 1 whole. Is equal to 1 whole. All right, letter E. Use the expression -5 minus 3 over 8 to answer the following questions. Rewrite the subtraction expression as an equivalent addition expression. All right, so I'm going to change subtraction to addition. So I'm going to do keep, change, change. So I'm going to keep the first term, -5 over 8, change subtraction to addition, and then I'm going to change the value of 3 over 8 to -3 over 8. All right, it's asking which number is larger, so which one is furthest to the right in my number line, and that's going to be -3 over 8. Which number is furthest away from 0? That is -5 over 8. This here determines whether my answer is negative or positive, and since it's a negative, so my answer will be negative. How do the signs of the two numbers help you determine if you're finding the sum or the difference? My first term is negative. My second term is negative. And look, I have the same sign, meaning I'm going to add my two numbers together. So I'm going to take the absolute value of both of those numbers, add them together, and then the one with the larger value is going to be determine the value of my answer. So 5 over 8 plus 3 over 8. My denominator stays the same at 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. And we know that 8 divided by 8 is 1. But my answer, so the value of my answer is -1. Okay. All right, let's try letter F. There we go. So letter F is -4 1/3 plus 1 1/6. Which number is larger? So when thinking about where the numbers get placed on the number line, the one that is furthest to the right is 1 1/6. Okay. Which number is further away from 0? -4 1/3. When you add the two numbers together, will the sum be positive or negative? Well, the one that's furthest away from 0 determines my answer, and my answer will be negative. So my answer will be negative. Okay. How do the signs of the two numbers help you determine? Well, the first answer I have, my first number is negative. My second number is positive. Well, look, I have two different signs. So it means I'm going to be subtracting. Okay. I will be subtracting my two numbers. So I'm going to take the absolute value of -4 1/3 to have 4 1/3 minus 1 1/6. Okay. So I can subtract my two whole numbers first. So 4 minus 1 is 3. And now I need to subtract my two fractions. Well, I cannot subtract fractions with an uncommon denominator. I have to get them both to be the same number. And the least common multiple between 3 and 6 is 6. So I need to multiply 3 by 2. What I do to bottom, I must do to the top. So 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So now I can do 2 over 6 minus 1 over 6. to get, my denominator will be 6, and 2 minus 1 is 1. I'm told my answer is going to be negative. So my answer is negative 3 1/6. Negative 3 1/6. All right, letter G. Sorry. Letter G, use the expression 4 1/3 plus negative 1 1/6 to answer the questions. Which number is larger? Well, the one that's furthest to the right is 4 1/3. Which number is further away from 0? It is still 4 1/3, meaning my answer will be positive. Okay. Am I adding or subtracting my two numbers? Well, my first number is positive. My second number is negative. So it looks like I'm going to be subtracting. Okay. So I'm going to subtract 4 1/3 minus 1 1/6. Well, we went ahead and subtracted it up here. We did the exact same thing. So I'm going to end up with 3 1/6. The only difference between F and G is that originally for F, my 4 1/3 was negative, causing my answer to be negative. Okay. But my number that's further away from 0, 4 1/3 is positive. So my answer in this case is going to be a positive 3 1/6. Going to be a positive 3 1/6. All right, letter H. Use the expression 4 1/3 minus negative 1 1/6 to answer the following. So rewrite the subtraction expression as an equivalent addition expression. So I'm going to keep, change. So I'm going to keep the first term, 4 1/3, change subtraction to addition, and then change the negative to a positive, so 1 1/6. Which number is larger? So which one's furthest to the right? And that's 4 1/3. Which one is further away from 0? That is still 4 1/3. Will I be positive or negative? Well, my number that's furthest away from 0 is positive, so my answer will be positive. How do the signs help me determine? So I'm going to see I have a positive and a positive. So same sign means I'm going to add my two numbers together. Okay, I'm going to add. So I'm going to do 4 1/3, 1 1/6, and I'm going to add these two numbers together. So I'm going to add my two whole numbers. 4 plus 1 is 5. Well, in adding my two fractions, I have to have the same common denominator. So I need to get 3 to look like 6. And the least common multiple between 3 and 6 is 6. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 2. And what I do on bottom, I must do on top. Well, 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Now I can add my two fractions. My denominator stays the same at 6. And 2 plus 1 is 3. So right now I have 5 and 3 over 6. Well, 3 over 6 can reduce, and it can reduce down to 1/2. So my answer is 5 1/2. All right, letter I. Use the expression negative 4 1/3 minus 1 1/6 to answer the following questions. Rewrite the subtraction expression as an equivalent addition expression. So I need to keep, change. So I'm going to keep negative 4 1/3, change subtraction to addition, and take the opposite value of 1 1/6 to have negative 1 1/6. All right, which number is larger? So which one is closest to the right or furthest to the right? And that's negative 1 1/6. Which number is further away from 0? Negative 4 1/3. When adding these two numbers, will the sum be positive or negative? Based on the number that's furthest from 0, my answer will be negative. How do the signs tell me if I'm adding or if I'm going to be subtracting? My first number is negative. My second number is negative. So same sign, I will add. Okay. So I'm going to have 4 1/3 plus 1 1/6. 4 plus 1 is 5. I know that 3 can be multiplied by 2 to get to a common denominator of 6. Well, now I have 2/6 plus 1/6 to get me 3/6. And we know from up here that 3/6 can reduce to 1/2. And I'm told that since both of my values originally were negative, they are going to be negative answer to have a negative 5 1/2. Negative 5 1/2. All right. And letter J, from what you have discovered with integers and fractions, what can you conclude about adding and subtracting decimals with negative numbers? For example, negative 5.3 plus 2.9 and negative 5.3 plus negative 2.9. When adding with decimals, you will use the same method. Meaning, if you have a positive and a negative, or negative and a positive, you will subtract. When you have a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative, you will add. Okay? So, taking a look at these two, negative 5 plus 2.9, I have a negative and a positive. Okay? Meaning I will subtract these two numbers. With this one, okay, we need to change the subtraction problem to an addition. So I'm going to do keep, change, change. So keep negative 5.3 plus negative 2.9. We'll have two values of the same, meaning I'm going to add my two numbers together. If you have any questions, please let us